Welcome aboard the new patient group flight deck. Less chaos. Check. Less stress. Check. Less advertising costs. Check. More personal and financial freedom. Check. All right, business checklist completed. Let the takeoff roll begin. Welcome to Season 7 of the New Patient Group Audio Experience, a podcast dedicated to forward-thinking doctors wanting to learn innovative ways to run their business today so your practice can achieve new heights tomorrow. And now your host. He's the founder and CEO of New Patient Group, managing partner of Ritz, and a trusted motivational speaker for Invisalign, OrthoFi, and others. Brian Wright.
Hey, New Patient Group and Right Chat Nation. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Brian Wright here, and welcome into another edition of the New Patient Group podcast. YouTube followers out there, hey there to you. Thumb this video up for us. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you're listening on the audio experience channels out there, please do the same. Share this with your friends and colleagues. Give us a nice 5-star review as we continue to grow this wonderful cult following we have here with New Patient Group and the podcast. And hey, everybody, shout out to the customers. As always, thanks for your support and hope everyone's doing great out there. We are diving in. Today is part 1. Now, this is not going to be an ongoing series. Like the next podcast that comes out, it's not going to be part 2 and then part 3. But this is going to be one that I do a repetitive podcast on with different examples of what I'm talking about. And what we're going to be diving into today is how your clinical peers are sabotaging your business and entrepreneur success. Now, I want to first say that this is not something that I believe anyone's doing intentionally. It's not like your fellow orthodontist, as an example, is standing up on stage going, how can I ruin everybody's business? Obviously, that's not the case, right? It's non-intentionally, and I think it's done with the best of intentions, thinking that they are going to help. But there's a business lesson that I want you to take from today that we're going to get to, as well as an example that I talk about, and I talk about several, but one of the ones I talk about most on stage or interacting with our coaching customers is the one I'm going to be talking about today. And before we dive in, I want everybody to think about two things. I want to make 2 quick points. One, what kind of business do you want to be, right? You've got to define this. So residents, we have a big residents listening audience out there. If you're in school and you're going to come out and you're going to own your own practice, or you're going to go work for a corporation for 3 years until you can own your own practice, whatever it may be, what kind of business do you want to be? Do you want to be the highest dollar business in practice, where if I'm shopping around for 5 places, you're going to be the highest priced or maybe the second highest priced? If you've been a practice out there forever, maybe you're striving to be the highest priced, right? Maybe you're a business, you're a practice, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want that. I want to be the lowest priced. And I realize I'm going to have to make more sales and get more starts, and it's going to be more of a quantity play. But, I want to be the Best Western. And then there's somebody out there that, maybe you're thinking you want to be the Marriott that kind of sits in between the Best Western and the Ritz, right? And it's just like in sports, right? There's several playbooks that work, right? But you've got to have the right talent to make the playbook work, the right coaching staff, the right culture, et cetera, et cetera. And it's the same way with whatever type business you want to run out there. If you want to be the highest priced, the lowest priced, you've got to fill the room with the right talent. You've got to do the right digital marketing. You have to create the right culture. You have to train your people the right way that fits that model, right? And that's where you've got to be very, very careful whenever you're out listening. And I'm going to give a nice example that I think is a powerful example today. But whenever you're out there listening to your clinical peers talk, you have to be very cognizant that the ones talking on stage may not have the business model that you want to run. All right, so that's point 1. And you've always got to have that on your mind. Is the speaker that I'm listening to, are they the model that I want to run? As an example, like with us, with New Patient Group, almost everybody that follows us and is a customer and enjoys, watching me speak and follows us around the country or the world for that matter, almost everybody is the Marriott or the Ritz or even above, right? The messaging we have, and that's what our model is intended to do, is it's intended to teach all of you the recipe, regardless if you're one of 6 Italian restaurants, if you're one of 10 plumbers, if you're one of 20 realtors, if you're one of 5, 6, 7 orthodontists within 10, 15 minutes. There is a recipe regardless of the people business, people over product, people over procedure, like we talked, regardless of what your product is, orthodontics, food, etc., there is a recipe. If you want to be a high dollar and you want to charge more than the other 2, 3, 4, 5 opinions, there is a recipe to that. There is an art to that. And that's what we teach on this podcast. It's the culture you create, the commitment to uniquely training your team, and the digital marketing content you produce. That's the recipe, those 3 things. It's why New Patient Group does those 3 things under one roof. So that's our following. And what you're listening to on this podcast and our customers out there, what we teach is going to allow you to charge more than the other opinions while converting at a higher level than those other opinions. It's going to allow you to make more while seeing less. It's going to allow you to be less stressful, less chaotic. It's going to allow you to not need as big of a team. Like, those are the things that we teach here. And if you're saying to yourself, well, I don't want that. Right? I want to be a low-priced, high-quantity, right? Like, got to make a ton of sales, going to be chaotic my whole life. If that's what you want, that's fine. That playbook can work. Like I said, the Best Western makes a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with it. But what we teach on here may or may not work for you. And I proudly stand behind that, because it's important for you all to know what we envision for all of you out there. And if that's something that fits the model that you vision, this is a beautiful marriage. You should be a customer, you should be a podcast listener, and you probably should stay with us forever, because we're going to continually help you year to year. So that's point 1. Point 2, I have done a podcast on this before, and I talked about the number 1 trait of billionaires. And the number 1 trait of billionaires have a lot in common, and a lot of things their entrepreneur brain does is very different than the 99 percenters. Right? And why more people don't look at what makes them successful and go and grab that and bring it into your business, I'll never understand. Well, one of those is that they have a coach. Okay, that's the number 1 trait of billionaires, is they have coaches. Those coaches are there because billionaires want to be challenged. They want to be held accountable. They understand repetition is key to the success. That's what coaches do. And that's why coaches help people, right? Not consultants. Like with New Patient Group, we are coaches. We are a coaching company first, and we help, and we do all those things that I just described. But the trait, in addition to that coach with the billionaires, the number 1 trait of those coaches is they come from outside the bubble that billionaire exists in. Like, you take Richard Branson in the airline industry, right? He's not going to get a coach that's a pilot or or a flight attendant or a CEO of Airbus. That's not where he's going. That's the last thing he wants. He wants to go get a coach that's going to challenge him and the airline industry to think completely different, right? And that's why the forward thinkers are attracted to us, because we come from outside the bubble and we look at everything and flip it upside down and say, this makes no sense, right? So you want to listen to your clinical peers, but the challenge a lot of you have out there is that's all you do. And I am here to teach all of you that the non-clinical world that you all live in, you have to seek true experts in those things and combine that with your clinical peers. That's when you have the best of both worlds. But here is the problem, and here is the point of part 1. There is a doctor that goes around, and he teaches doctorless exams. And I know doctorless exams can work if you want to run a high quantity, low priced, need a ton of sales in order to accomplish whatever production goal that you have for your office on a month-to-month, year-to-year basis. They can work. Where they don't work is if you want to be the Marriott or the Ritz Carlton or even above, because of the model you're trying to run. Right? If you're a high quantity like this doctor is, you have to think of ways like doctorless exams, because you don't have time to wine and dine people, greet them right when they walk through the door, work on your culture, role play with your team to have the skill sets to create value so you can charge more. So this doctor does not tell people in the audience what his business model is. And this doctor, I know, will discount his prices all the way down to the bottom barrel to do whatever it can to get a start, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with that business model. I don't believe in it. It's not something I coach to. But that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the business model. Again, going back, the Best Western makes a ton of money, but the Best Western is not the model that I teach, and I don't want to teach it. I enjoy teaching high-level experiences so you can charge a higher price and need less people to hit and exceed the goals that you want out of your business and out of your life. So what happens is the audience is sitting there going, wow, he really seems to have success with these doctorless exams. And I know what happens because I have an example I'm going to talk about here in just a second. What happens is people leave the event and they go back and they try to do this. And we had a customer, this was a long time ago, I had an on-site, and we're going through the numbers and wrapping up the day, and I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, what's going on here? Like the conversion was rolling. The last time we talked, things were growing. And the conversion's in the toilet. Like, what happened over the course of the last couple of months? And they said, well, Brian, we went to an event and saw this doctor talk about doctorless exams, so we came back and implemented it. And first of all, I told them, well, being your coach, that's something you should have run by me. They're like, yeah, we messed that one up. Sorry about that. We don't know why we did it. But I told them, of course, this is going to tank your conversion. Like, again, you're the highest priced out of 3, 4, 5, 6 opinions that people are seeking, right? Part of the content that we do for you with digital marketing is all about the edification of why your investment is in the doctor, not the clear aligner, not Invisalign, not whatever, not braces, right? That tool only works if you invest in an awesome doctor, right? That tool doesn't work if you invest in a clinician that's not good at it, right? We put your face all over social media with YouTube videos. You're doing the welcome video. You're doing all these unexpected hospitality things that we teach. Then people walk through the door and they're getting edification in the TC room and also the new patient call, you're being edified. And there's value being created in salesmanship, using psychology and verbiage skills, present, all these things we teach. And then all of a sudden, they're rushed in and out of there and the doctor never even comes in, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work even kind of okay if you want to be the highest price in town. Hey, everybody, Brian Wright. Let's step away from the podcast for a minute. And if you're a practice that resonates with today's message, you want to be the highest dollar in town, or maybe you already are, but your conversion's suffering, or maybe you want to go even higher with your price. Maybe you're a practice that's low price today and it intrigues you and you want to charge a higher price, but you're afraid that you don't know how much to charge or what's going to happen to your conversion. If you want to be that Marriott that we talk about, or the Ritz Carlton or beyond, we're the company for you. We have the expertise and the recipe of knowing how to install an experience inside people-first businesses that convert people at the highest possible dollars. Look, all of you are dealing with a commoditization of orthodontics, of dentistry, etc. If you want to be the highest priced, there's a very specific recipe you must follow. That culture of obsessing over your team and your customer, that culture of training your people in a unique way and constant learning environment, and doing your digital marketing a different way. We can help you reach whatever price you want to charge. We can get you there while increasing your conversion at the same time. We want to help you be less chaotic and make more money. Reduce your advertising costs and invest it in other areas of your practice that are going to produce a higher return and allow you to charge that high dollar price that we want everybody out there to be. If that sounds intriguing to you, click on that Calendly link in the podcast description below. Set up a 15 to 30 minute business consultation with us, and we look forward to coming in and doing an on-site workshop, or having you work with us month to month on a private coaching basis, or doing our digital marketing. Our video marketing is very powerful, and other digital marketing we do to help you charge more as well. And we look forward to you becoming a new patient group customer. Now let's get back to today's podcast. Now, can you learn as a doctor how to get in and out of there quicker while offering a lot of value and making people feel special? Absolutely. It's one of the things we teach. Right? So there's a way to spend 5, 6, 7 minutes with somebody and make them feel even more special than if you spent 30 minutes with them and didn't say and do the right thing. So of course, you want to be efficient. But you not being in there at all, it does not work if you want to be the high-end brand that you're claiming you want to be. This is why the conversion tank. This is why I've seen it in countless practices that want to be the high dollar where they implement this. It tanks. And this doctor, I've got another example of something else that he teaches as well that I'm going to do as another example on another podcast for another time. But everybody out there, the lesson today, again, it's not that anyone's doing this with intent. they're doing it unintentionally, because I don't think it even crosses their mind that by teaching these things, they also need to say, hey, everybody, look, I've got a great idea for you, right? And this idea works really well for us. And one of the reasons it works really well for us is that if you shop 5 practices in our area, we're the lowest priced, right? And we're willing to negotiate down to whatever price point it takes to get a start, right? That's a big part of our business model. And it's important, audience, for you all to understand that's the model. So if you're that model and you're running that currently, and you're doing a lot of pay-per-click ads, and you're driving in price shoppers, which, off the cuff for everybody out there, if you want to be a high-end brand, you better cut the pay-per-click crap off. Like, you can't be doing price discount ads and low down payment ads and all this stuff, because you're going to drive in from the time they call to the time they show up to the time they do everything. You're driving in somebody that wants a cheap price, right? Digital marketing, and this is what's on our brains all the time, digital marketing has to be done different if you're a practice that wants to charge high dollar versus a practice that wants to be the lowest cost or the second lowest cost. How you train your people has to be different if you want to be the highest cost versus the lowest cost. The culture you have obsessing over your team and your customer has to be different than if you're the lowest cost, high quantity. And I hope that makes sense to everybody out there. But the only point today is you got to watch who's on stage. And I proudly sit behind this mic and tell everybody out there, right, we want to help the people that are high dollar. We want to help the people that want to be high dollar, or you're already at high dollar and you want to be a higher dollar practice, or just convert higher than you currently are. Like, that's what we teach. And this stuff works so well. Is it going to destroy a low price practice? Of course not. I think treating people in an unexpected way always works. But doing it the way we teach, you've got to have time to do it. And you can't have time if you've got to have 15 times the amount of patients walking through your door to make the same amount of money. The time goes away. The chaos increases. You get the point. So watch out, everybody, when you're hearing your clinical peers discuss things. You have to be very forward thinking in that you've got to understand, does this fit the business model that I want to run? It's a very important business lesson today that you must take to heart. And the other one is you've got to go outside your bubble to seek expertise that can truly make you unique. When people are shopping around, every interaction that you have with them, they must see, oh, this is different than the other place. Oh, this is different than the other place. Oh, this is different than the other place. Right? So take away what you learned today. I think it's very important that you shift your mindset into understanding that what's being taught must fit your business model. I hope everybody enjoyed part 1 of this series. We'll be back with part 2. I don't know when, right? But I'm going to drip these over the course of time, because there is tons and tons of examples that I see that clinical peers out there are sabotaging your business. Again, not intentionally whatsoever. They have the best intentions, but I see them hurting you out there. And you need to go in with this business mindset that I taught you today. Hope everybody enjoyed today. We'll be back with another episode soon. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.